We're going to look at negative exponents here a little bit. And I've got a definition here. Basically, we're saying if a is a real number other than 0, and n is an integer, and if we have an instance where a is to the negative n, that's the same as 1 over a to the n, and 1 over a to the negative n is the same as a to the n. What's this all mean exactly? Well, let's think of an instance where we have something like x squared over x to the fourth. Now we know we've talked before, we can rewrite this and say this is the same as x squared minus 4, which would be x to the negative 2 power. Okay. Now, if we look at this in a different manner, we could see this as x times x over x times x times x times x. And we know these will cancel. So what we're left with is 1 over x squared. Well, the funny thing is when we talk about the quotient rule, and this has to be true for exponents, then basically we're saying x to the negative 2 is the same thing as 1 over x squared. Now, another thing we can do if we have an exponent, a negative exponent, is, well, let's do this, x to the negative 2. The other thing we can do here is to take the reciprocal and change the sign of the exponent. So x to the negative 2, we'd write that as a fraction of x to the negative 2 over 1. Well, let's take the reciprocal of this. Let's say reciprocal, remember, that's just flipping the fraction. We have 1 over x to the negative 2. But once we do this, we change the sign of our exponent there. So this becomes 1 over x squared. So, let's see a little bit more. Actually, we could do a couple problems here. So say we have something like 3 to the negative 2 power. Okay. Well, if we want to write this as an expression, or term, I should say, a term with positive exponents, we're looking at 1 over 3 squared, which would be 1 over 9. Because one thing we can do, another way that we can think of writing these negative exponents, is take the reciprocal, change the sign. So let's look at another one. We have 2 to the negative 1 plus 4 to the negative 1 power. Well, we know that should be 1 over 2 to the first plus 1 over 4 to the first, which anything to the first power itself. So we have 1/2 plus 1/4, and we know 1/2 is 2/4, so 2/4 plus 1/4 means this is 3/4. Now we can also think of these things. Let's see. Let's look at something like p to the negative 3 over q to the negative 7. Now, if we want to write something like this with exponents, basically, if we take our p and move it down below, we'll get 1 over p cubed, because whenever we switch over the divisor bar, it changes the sign of our exponents, the q to the negative 7. Now, we can also move this q up and change that. So we have q to the 7th over p cubed. So, a few little examples.